Play on. Welcome to a special edition of the Collingwood Rant. I'm Sly.
And I'm 5 out of 6 Spook.
Spook, we're back.
Where have we been?
We're back. We're back with a loss.
Oh, we're back.
We're back with a loss.
We turned the corner.
Totally.
Oh. I turned the corner to get here tonight. I tried to come in a straight line like Dan Houston, but it was too confusing.
Jesus. This is not a special edition. This is just an angry edition. I mean, there's going to be people out there celebrating the effort that we put in.
When is success marked with a loss?
When you're a Collingwood.
When you're looking for anything.
Alright, so...
Give it to me, baby!
Look, I'm actually really, really pissed off, so I don't know where this is going to fucking go. So, they dropped Mitchell. Unless they know his body's shot, the treatment of Mitchell's fucking diabolical. It really is appalling.
Yeah, it's either that or he's been told that that's it.
I mean, either way, it's just like... I find it ludicrous that it's like, oh, well, you're too old at 31, Tom. If you're 37, we'd keep you on for a couple of years. At 31, though.
Yeah, do we look like we have a youth policy here at Collingwood?
Then you get Dan Houston being moved to the wing.
He can do more damage from there.
Okay, so there's 2 points on this. One, we've been saying he's been struggling, and people go, no, he's been fine. If he's been fine, why is he being fucking moved? Two, he was equally ineffective there. No, he did set up an Adelaide goal, though.
Yeah, he was alright first quarter. But weren't they all?
Well, he's still learning the lines.
Is
still learning where to run. Just imagine how good it will be when he, Perryman and Membry all learn where to run together.
We might win the flag.
Well, hang on. Perryman and Membry,
they've worked it out, you reckon?
They've worked it out in, 2 weeks? Fucking hell. Seriously.
Maybe it isn't that difficult.
I wouldn't have thought it was difficult.
It's almost as... is it as hard as handballing to a crow in the inside 50?
Well...
That seemed to be pretty easy to pull off.
Tapping the ball out of a crow's hand, that was always a good trick. Spinning's a good trick. Will Parker really liked his game. Thought he injected some energy and enthusiasm. He was one of the few players who would look inboard when he got the ball. Thought he halved some contests really well.
He turned his inboard into an outboard.
Yeah, jeez. It's interesting because I just thought bringing that youth in sort of injected a little bit of excitement, a little bit of enthusiasm into what feels like a real stagnating side.
Yeah, you're right. He should be dropped this week.
Yep. And then Ed Allen, the sub, which I don't really get that.
Well, he had the same role as a sub. I think with about 4 minutes to go, the periscope popped up briefly, and he made an appearance.
So, stats, courtesy of Gary. Thanks, Gary. 71 to 37 inside 50s. 10 to 5 marks inside 50. Although, you got to look at that in terms of they seem a lot more effective, naturally. 25 more tackles inside 50. 39 stoppages in our forward 50. Dominated clearances, dominated territory. Kept the second best offensive team to 59 points. You know who the leading offensive team is?
Who?
Collingwood, because they fucking shit me.
Oh, they're offensive, yep.
McStay, Myercheck, and Membry, they managed 2-2 between them.
And Membry kicked most of it.
Yeah. Oh, Membry kicked all 2 goals. Walker, Tilthorpe, and Fogarty kicked 5-1. I think it really shows you that if you're going to play these role plays, you're going to get role player returns, and there'll be a game, whatever, where they fire up and they do well because that's what role players do. But you saw the difference when you kicked it down there and Fogarty and Tilthorpe could take marks and, where's it? You haven't seen that at Collingwood since... Cox has done it a few times, but since Travis Cloak.
No, it's contested marks are just something you read about these days.
It's the thing that shits me. So the first quarter, we actually lowered the eyes, we moved the ball, we played with some chaos, and we looked for some targets. And then after that, it was just like, well, that worked well. That got us to 5 goals. Let's start bombing it and see how that works.
We won though, didn't we?
Oh, did we? No, we fell short.
With all those numbers and the fact that we were so comfortable with turning off the chaos football that was actually producing something, I can only assume that we won.
We didn't.
Fuck.
Dan McStay's been diabolical in that ruck forward role.
He'd have to improve to be diabolical.
And I think that sort of shows you how difficult that role is, because a lot of people would criticise Cox when he was doing it, not being an effective forward, not being Peter Hudson. But the problem is with Cox, you're getting much more effective rucking. I know we won the clearances and all that, but I still question Cameron's rucking. That I still can't get over that little soccer he did to Peatling.
Yeah, that was a bad mistake.
That was a massive brain fade. But then in the last minute too, with that ball up on the half forward line, he tried to finesse it where you could see he finessed it to where Pendlebury had been, whereas all the players were breaking like, hey, give it to us on the run and then we can do something. Whereas he just palmed it down flat-footed, which is just really ridiculous. What do you think? What does this game mean for Collingwood in terms of, you look at it, you lost by just the 3 points, but what do you think it means for Collingwood's finals? I mean, because what's there to say? They fucking tried, they tackled last, they had the pressure up, so that's great, but what does it actually fucking mean?
I think it would mean a lot more if we'd actually won. I think mentally it would have had some impact. Now, they may walk away from the end of this and think, wow, we're back to being thereabouts. We can't win games, but we're close. Isn't that a good thing? I don't know what it actually means. The thing is, and the thing that's fucking shit me for a number of weeks now is we've been master of our own destiny when it comes to locking in a top 4 spot. And we're progressively now getting more fucking entrenched in what the other teams are doing to keep us in there. We had another opportunity to lock top 4, and we fucked it up. We won, one game out of the last 6?
But it was against
the might of Richmond,
yeah.
And we had to work hard for that one. It's not looking particularly great at the moment. I think a win over there against the odds, against the top team, it would have helped shift that consciousness a little bit. As it stands now, we just sort of, we're almost there. And, we were fucking there 3 games clear a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So what do we need to be almost there now? What do we need to be turning corners this late in the season?
Yeah,
Why are we back?
That's frustrating.
Why did we ever leave?
I mean, the 1 out of 6, of the 5 losses, the Fremantle game's the one that we should really put away. We're 4 goals up almost. MCG against a side that doesn't historically travel well, and you have totally capitulated, and that's just been horrific. The Gold Coast one, like I said, it wouldn't have been that one when we lost. I was like, we don't generally do that well against them down there, but still, you only lost by a kick. You started Pendlebury as a sub. You didn't kick a goal for a half. So
that's it. I mean, you didn't kick a goal for a half. This game we kicked 1 goal in 80 minutes.
Yeah,
that's just nowhere near fucking good enough. If you want to be a serious grand final contender, I don't think you go into the final series with. Let's assume that we beat Melbourne with 2 wins out of your last. Would there be 7 attempts against the top 8, and all you've managed to do is lose or get close. It's not a great run into the finals. I mean, I don't know how anyone can take you seriously in there. It's like, are you going to suddenly remember how to play football come day 1 of finals after what you've been serving up for 2 months?
The biggest problem is going into the forward 50. And
was that more on than any time ever in the last couple of months on display last night, with the amount of domination going in, the amount of times you sent it in, and that's all you could kick, 8 goals?
Well, so you've kicked in 71 inside 50s, you've kicked 8 goals. So
it's like one in 10
9,
entries, more or less.
Yeah, about 1 in 9, and they've kicked 8 from 37 entries, so that's like 1 in 4. It's really appalling. The thing I really don't like, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier, it's just, I don't think they're being coached that well in terms of the way they're moving the ball forward. And if they are being coached well, then the execution is so poor that I have to go back to the coaching, because the coaching's overseeing this. The way they move the ball forward into the forward 50 is just appalling. With 71 forward entries, you think, fuck, you kick at least 15 goals. Your forward line's not working. At what point do you accept this McStay, Membry, Myercheck thing? And people go, Membry got 2 goals. Great. And then he was unsighted for 3 quarters.
And he got those 2 goals when he was fucking on the lead.
Yeah. But this is the thing, is like, I do think that you take one of those guys out, it's going to open up the space for the other 2 to succeed better. I think sometimes, like, people complicate it. Like, go back to fucking, I think, 89, when state football was still a thing, and they talked about, can Lockett and Dunstall play in the same forward line, and one kicked 5 and one kicked 4, and everyone's going, well, yes, see, it worked. Yeah, but one of them probably would have kicked 11 if they just sort of had that whole space to themselves. And I think sometimes people complicate. Your forward line has been built on that triptych of Schultz, Hill, and McCreary. Hill's not there and probably won't be back this year. So why decide, well, let's replace the quickest of the guys we've got there with a tall lumbering log? It's like, well, why are you surprised that when it goes in there, we don't really lock it in?
And you look at the way the ball was being delivered from second quarter onwards. It was coming in. I mean, it was burning up on re-entry from those big high bombs, and it's just hitting the top of the hands of the pack. So there'd be invariably 2 or 3 Adelaide defenders going up with one Collingwood forward who wasn't looking anywhere remotely near taking a mark. And even when you didn't take the mark, the ball would just fucking spill off the back, and no one was there to mop it up. And then Adelaide would send it out. We were set up on that on the counter of the and now a lot of our inside entries was just flipping and flopping going between.
Yeah.
They were clearing, we'd mark it, we'd send it back in, and it's like, this is really literally the definition of insanity. It's not working. Was it going to just suddenly work? Is it going to keep working moving forward because it worked once? It just doesn't make sense. And you look at how fucking unpredictable they were in that first quarter with the chaos movement. And they're kicking the ball low and hard to guys leading into space. Fucking, what a strange way to fucking deliver the ball inside. And it netted return. They were kicking goals.
And what a ridiculous way to devolve.
Oh, fuck. It's frustrating.
Yeah, he's not going to bite the bullet. So you go to Houston, being moved to the wing 21 weeks in. Good, well, great. That's some flexibility. He's not going to change his McStain memory thing, and it's clearly not working. And the definition of insanity, you're going to do it again. And maybe it'll work this one time. People go, we'll see, it worked. It's that Lipinski argument. We'll see, it worked. Once in fucking 8 weeks or whatever.
And look, on Lipinski, look, he tried manfully, I suppose is the right term. But there was that statement made about when he wasn't playing, we all missed his elite precision delivery inside 50, and that was the reason why we stopped playing. Well, he's been back for a fucking while now. What happened to that elite inside 50 delivery?
This is typical of Collingwood. He had a sublime 15 minutes against Hawthorn the first time we played him. It was 15 minutes. But people have now held that up like, this is who he is. And it's like, no, the fact that he played 15 minutes, that's who he is. He sort of comes in and out of games. Every now and again you'll have a good one. But generally he is really inconsistent. And there's a few times there, like looking at this game, where it's just like, you need to go at the ball and you haven't. You've chosen to sort of hang back. If I was running the club, and if I was coach and all that, I'd be looking at that list and going, we need upgrades on certain players. Lipinski would be one of them for mine. Or, on the flip side, you need to improve the people around him, which then gives him a bit more license because they'll appreciate him. We're still in that sort of place of you need Nick to get 35 possessions or something before the other midfielders start looking good. Ned Long was better, yes, on that game, but he still wasn't as dynamic as he had been in the first half of the season. And then I thought Pendlebury sort of came in and outside bottom, did a couple of things, but wasn't great. The goalie was pretty much unsided. So it's like you've got this game plan which is about the sum of the parts. But the thing is, when one of those parts isn't performing to an exceptional standard, which is Nick, then the rest don't really stand up. And that's really frustrating. So where do you go with this? And it's evident by the way he's been selected in the team. He's got an idea of what the best 23 look like, and it's pretty much going to fucking stay what it is.
Yep.
If we took all the names out of it and all the reputations out of it, Houston would have been dropped weeks ago. If that was Josh Smith who'd come in and had like a good patch and then had a poor patch, he'd be dropped.
McStay's another one. I mean, he's given us nothing since we've come in. What was it? He kicked 2 or 3 against Richmond or something?
Yeah, I think they kicked 5 altogether against the mighty Richmond.
That's really been about it.
Yeah. And in the ruck, he gets totally beaten in the ruck, which is...
And he's not marking anything.
No, so looking at his... Give me some think music while I look him up. So 6 disposals, 2 tackles. 4 kicks and 2 handballs.
That's a good return.
Anyone who finds that defensible is ridiculous. I saw some fuckwit, I don't want to name who it was, but there was some fuckwit just going, no, McStay's been really good for us. And this is the problem. If you overvalue what the returns are when there are no real returns, you're never going to acknowledge the problems, which means you're never going to improve because you're not going to address things that need to be done. Cox had a really good game in the VFL. I still think he's their best option, but they won't default to him.
Unlikely now.
Yeah. So it's like, what do you do with this side? I mean, they'll beat Melbourne because Melbourne is probably just looking for this end of season break now.
You'd hope so. There's no one there auditioning for any more roles, are they?
No.
No, I think they look like they'd given up this week. Melbourne, surely they take that into next week. They didn't try this time last year against us.
Yeah, but
next time last year.
So, but I don't know if I can say I'm stupefied the fact that you're going to go into the finals with this setup, which clearly isn't working.
Oh, you're going to get found out pretty quick.
Yeah. So, and you look at the last 6 weeks. I mean, the endeavour was there. This game, like, it hasn't been in the last 5 weeks. I mean, even fucking against Richmond, just really, really poor victories against West. I mean, look what the Dogs did to West Coast. Dogs won by and the Dogs have done this a few times. They've won by 90 plus points.
But they have to. I mean, if they're going to sneak into the 8, percentage is their fucking friend.
Yeah, but
they need to be blowing sides away to jump above.
No, but I'm just looking at it from the point of view of, if you want to be an awesome team, then surely you need to just be saying, okay, we need to treat the shit teams like they're shit teams, and we need to cultivate an attitude that... Because the thing with Collingwood, it's really, really unusual. I mean, I know we've had some big wins, but for a team that's up top and been up top for 3 of the last 4 years, they have so many fucking come from behind wins and close wins. And it's like, and we've said it before, they almost seem content playing 30 minutes of football and then 70 minutes of shit. And then just putting the foot down. Whereas, you get back to 2011, where we had 186% going into that last round. You should really be grooming the side so it's you know what, we're always on. The only time we're going to take the foot off the pedals is when we're 14 goals up, and then it doesn't matter. Not, let's just keep it close because we feel we can fucking win a close one, or we can run over the top of them, because it's just a really horrible... And I don't know that I mean, I understand that's not going to be the actual intention, but that's the result.
Yeah, and we've gone away from winning those close ones as well.
Yeah, well, we've lost this, Geelong, Gold Coast.
Yeah. These are games you felt confident that we'd find a way to get over the line. And now we just splutter at the end of these games.
Well, notice a lot, the opposition are constantly flooding back, so it makes it a lot harder for us to sort of play our running overlap game. But then that goes back to the coach, and he's like, well, you need to change it up. You need to find a new way through.
Well, now's not the time to be experimenting, is it?
Well, he's not going to experiment because he's never done it. He is very typically... Lee Matthews is like this. So Lee Matthews is his coach for all his career, I'm pretty sure. Maybe Voss got him toward the end there. But it was just this is the game plan, that's it. That's all I'm going to do. I mean, you don't really see many coaches like Malcolm Blight used to be, where they'd experiment, where they'd change it up and all that sort of stuff. Go back to this game, the guys I was watching it with, was you just got to get a tall off. It's wet. Get one of the talls off and bring Allen on. And if it was Malthouse would have said, I reckon, at 3/4 time, he would have pulled the fucking trigger on bringing Allen on, and he would have said to Allen, I'm going to put you right in the middle. This is your time to do something. Instead, McRae brought him on with 4 minutes left and took Lipinski off, which is and I know if criticise Lipinski, but he's a runner, so keep him on and then take off McStay and,
Just do fucking all, doing
nothing. And it's also... I know that sort of... And this is the way we've set up now, because we've gone off this Membry McStay thing. It's who would have done the relief rucking if that was needed, but they've got away at this year with having Membry and Mychek and Ned Long doing it at times. So that's probably what you would have had to do. But instead, he just made this late change, which was just redundant by that point.
Well, it's not like Ed Allen's known for his ability to have burst and impact.
Well, it was a strange choice for the sub too.
Yeah, especially in the wet.
Yeah, so
you got a bloke whose speciality is inside work, sitting on the pine for most of the game.
It was you go back to the score. We go back to, So you look at the quarter by quarter breakdown. We kicked 5-3 in the first quarter, and then we kicked 1 point. Then we kicked 1-4 in the third quarter, and then just kicked 2 goals. So you look at that, and it's like, at what point does McRae and the coaching staff go, okay, we're not scoring, how do we regenerate this? It worked in the first quarter, that's not happening for whatever reason. How do we actually make this happen again? Particularly after that second quarter where you've kicked 1 point. And you get in these forward entries, that was like the Fremantle game, where they had 20 forward entries in the third quarter, and yet they scored 1 goal. How is this not being addressed? And someone will probably say, it is being addressed. Well, then it's not reflecting on the field. So I just found this really, really frustrating. I actually thought this was a game in the way it played out outside of the scoring. We should have won by 3 or 4 goals.
Fucking oath we should have. And that is the frustrating part. It's like these are games, well, not even when it was close, these are games we would normally have found a way across the line. But I think we did all the hard work in this game that we should have been 5 or 6 goals up.
Yeah.
You had so many fucking opportunities. It's like, people will counter with, fucking... What was the scoreline? 59, 56 in the end?
Yeah.
Well, Adelaide didn't do much either. Well, they didn't have 71 inside 50 entries. It's not like we weren't trying to fucking score. We just couldn't find a way.
Yeah.
And then I think, the midfield actually worked better this week. It's probably worked the best it has for a while. You were connecting well to defence. You were getting the ball inside 50, doing everything that you expected of you. And it just was a fucking dead thing when it went in there. And then they were playing that loose man. Keane, I think, was loose a fair bit, and when he wasn't stitching up Mio had one of his worst games I can ever recall.
Yeah.
Just sending the ball back out all the time.
Yeah. You go to the defensive things. I thought Quaynor was really good. I thought he helped propel a lot of that connectivity back with the midfield.
How many intercept marks did he have? You got the stats?
Nah, not the...
I can do the music again.
Oh, fuck.
Can
Can you do it for 2 weeks?
No. Just put a pause in.
I have no idea what half these columns mean. Anyway, I thought Frampton was really good. It was funny that he was becoming a link man at times that he was kicking out. I didn't think Moore was horrible, but I didn't think it was that impactful. No. I really like what Parker did. I really wish he'd been playing most of the year. And didn't think Josh really did that much.
No, it was pretty quiet.
And then you sort of move the ball going into forward 50, and it's like, well, no one really did anything. I know, remember he got 2 goals, but like I said, it was the first quarter. He was basically unsighted after that. Same with Elliott. So it's really, really frustrating. And the thing too is, I don't give a fuck what Adelaide did, because as you said, the stats that we produced aren't commensurate with what you'd expect for that output. And if that's going to be satisfying to lose by 3 points and say, hey, 8 goals for a game from 71 forward entries is enough, then you're fucking seriously deluded. So, I don't know. I mean, I was really, really angry watching that game. I just sort of thought, you shouldn't have been in this position. You are. You've manufactured a lot of this yourself because of your fucking around with the side, your refusal to actually diverge from what I believe you think is your best 23, which I don't think exists anymore. It's just like they keep going back to that side they had on paper in the preseason game. This is the best list I've had at Collingwood, and we're going to make it work, and it's quite evidently not working. And if it ever worked, great, but it's not working now, and you need to change it up. And I just don't think he's going to... I don't think we're going to see anything different, which is just going to be really frustrating.
Yeah. I think, look, if you had to spitball, I would think if Howe and Hill were in that side, we would have won by that 5 or 6 goals we were talking about earlier. And I think maybe that's the mindset that the club has as well, is we're getting to that point where we're going to be that 5 or 6 goal better side when we get everyone on the park. Although Howe's coming back this week, he's said again that Hill's unlikely, so you're still not close to there. And so they're then again projecting that the first final is going to contain that wet dream side that they've been trying to get on the park all year.
But it doesn't matter, because it's you look at this, Howe wouldn't have impacted our scoring. Hill might have. You're not getting Hill back. It's obviously not getting Hill back. He's played,
no, I think that was pretty evident weeks ago.
He's played 1 quarter, in the 8-9 weeks he's been missing. And then the club keeps saying, I mean, I don't understand this, so this is a really curious thing. It's like the club keeps talking about, he's got to do a certain amount of training and all that. And it's like, he wasn't injured, so he shouldn't have lost I mean, and then You compare it to, or parallel it to Geordie DeGoey, who missed, 8 weeks or something, played 12 minutes in the VFL, and then was selected in the senior side and played 3 quarters.
He's come in every game since.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't buy the line that they're selling. I think whatever the situation is, it's a lot more serious than they've... And I don't want to trivialise it, but it may just be that, Hill's just not mentally in a position of wanting to play, and they're just going, well, we can't have someone out there who's sort of, half in, half out. So we'll just see if it clicks for him at some point. But you'd think at this point you just realise it's not going to happen.
No.
So it's this sort of fucking thing where you're just going to keep trying what has brought you from 3 games on, in front of the next best team to barely hanging on to the top 4 now, and you're thinking that's just going to polarise and go, hey, now it'll start working properly. I'm really, really frustrated watching him. I'll just bring it up because I know people expect it. The obvious umpiring, it was like, I think, 25-9 free kicks after the first quarter. Like, we've got a few of them early. And these are sort of the games that scare me. It's like, we actually got some pretty good frees in that first quarter, and the umpires get their own feedback from their own, corner. And it's almost like someone said, you're paying too much to Collingwood, be mindful of that. And then they've just grotesquely overcompensated going the other way.
Yeah, I think it's also, not necessarily the frees paid, it's the ones missed, like the blatant throwing. It's like you've got fucking 4 officiating umpires around each contest or within viewing distance of it. None of you are seeing this stuff. The Hinge one was an absolute dog. You're talking about insufficient intent. You've made that decision that's what he paid. You don't even know whose fucking foot had come off.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. The Thilthorpe one over the boundary line. It's not like he did that and went into stealth mode and everyone said, oh, fuck, who did that? Is some paranormal activity on the boundary line? Quick, we better throw the ball back in. It's just stuff that really frustrates you. Grant Thomas come out and it fucking, like, he's never complimentary with the umpiring, but he was fucking, really beaten down on this particular game as one of the worst he's seen officiated. And look, I'm not going to use that as an excuse as to reason why or anything like that, but, these fuck-ups don't help. It's just really fucking painful. It's not just our game, it's most games now. The umpiring is just fucked.
Well, you go back to the Hillthorpe one. If you watch it, Billy Frampton calls for the free. He says, you can't do that. And he points it out.
Fucking Hutto was bloody fell off his chair, and he's not exactly the biggest Collingwood lover.
Hates Collingwood, yeah. And then, like, we're talking about, like, the people who said, oh, well, it wasn't time wasting because the time had stopped. But it's like, yeah, but that...
doesn't matter. It's what you've done.
But even that, like, I mean, the argument is, well, yeah, you don't waste time. But the thing is, kicking the ball away means it takes longer to get back to where it has to get back to be thrown in. Which means Adelaide has a lot longer to fucking set up the way they want to set up. So it does actually give a side an advantage because it gives them a bit more of a cushion as to what they want to do. And there's a couple of hole in the balls where, like, I think, from memory, it was Parker just sort of basically ran into a tackle and then just got put down. It was a free kick, a hole in the ball. And there's several that just didn't go the other way. There was several that fucking, like, where we sat on players and they just dragged it in. There was nothing. Mychek got his head caved in at one point in front of the goal, about 30 out. That wasn't paid. But then there was a few, the Rankin one where he threw up his arms.
Rankin's a great player, but like the fucking flopping and staging. If you want to do that, go and play fucking soccer where they celebrate that shit. And the thing is, like, that one where he's flopped, there was 3 umpires around there. The one furthest away overrode the other decisions. They were happy to let it fucking play on.
Yeah.
And this prick over in the fucking distance goes, you fucking free kick for that one.
Well,
and then they go the other angle, and it's clearly you can see that he's not had any contact to him. And the thing is, it almost has to be considered in the future that there's going to be some sort of video ref that actually they're all fucking mic'd up. They can all be spoken to. They've got to be overridden. But the problem is the AFL then has to concede it's a problem. They're so fucking happy to stick their head up their ass every week and say, well, nothing to see here, move ahead. And even when they do come out in the old one, they say, well, we got it wrong. Well, what fucking changes? Well, that's fucking great. You got it wrong. Well, are you going to do anything about fixing it?
Well, they find Rankin for staging later on. But they don't even have to have a video review of the decisions. It just simply is, and the AFL won't do it. But the AFL should what they should be doing is coming out and saying if that Rankin one, okay, it was a free that shouldn't have been paid, he got a goal out of it. you're fined 50 grand for staging. And that's all it should be. And that'll fucking stop a lot of players from staging. Particularly the way I'd structure it would be if you've benefited, like with goal, the fine goes massively up. The AFL won't do it because it's piss league, but if you actually did that, that would stop a lot of players from doing it because they'd realise there's a fucking penalty at the end of it. But the umpiring, like I was talking to my brother today, and he was just saying the same thing. He goes, you can't watch Australian rules, AFL, because the umpiring is so inconsistent and ridiculous. And when's it ever paid? You know, go back to that hinge one. How can you actually pay an insufficient intent when you don't even know who wasn't, you know, who the player was that was insufficiently, intending to keep it fucking or kick it out? It's ridiculous. And the fucking thing is, you look at that situation, so you just take out the fact that fucking came off Hinge's foot. The umpires really think if two people had their foot so close, they both had the same intention that the decision could go either way, or maybe just fucking rebounded off someone's foot because that's the fucking game when players are running at it hard and that. It's really, really hard to watch AFL, and it's not just this game. When I do fucking watch other games, it's really frustrating.
How many sports are left on the planet that needs this many officiating people on the field to play? I can't think of anything.
Well, fucking look at pro wrestling. I mean, they're constantly cheating, and they've stayed with one ref.
See, it's not that fucking hard.
No, I'm agreeing with Eddie Maguire. He's said for ages they've got to just say, no, we can't just address it like this. We totally need to just start from scratch. And then, I mean, he had the 6 umpire thing where like each has his own that they monitor. But they've got to do something because this is really, really bad. And they've got to do something about the non-officiating umpire intruding, because we talked about this a few weeks ago. That one gets priority. And it's like, why should someone calling the free get priority if they've got it wrong? So they've got to work out a way where it's just like, hey, sometimes, you know what, maybe we just have to call it back and go, no, it's a fucking ball up or something. Because it's really, really frustrating that the person overruling could be introducing an error where the officiating umpires were totally fine in letting it go or paying whatever the fuck they were going to pay.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. Like, as a sealer was kicked from on the back of a throw as well. You know, like that Cummings came out today and said, you know, I guess I thought it was going to be pulled back because it was a throw.
Yeah.
Well, that's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing is, you've got testimony from a fucking opposition player. You've got video evidence that it's all a problem. What's the AFL going to do come Monday?
What's the goal umpire?
What's that thing over there?
Does a goal umpire have the jurisdiction to actually call it a throw? Because surely he would have seen it.
Well, what's wrong with actually them being able to do that if that's not the case?
But that's what I'm asking is like...
Because it's part of the validation of the goal.
Yeah.
It's not just about going between the two sticks. It's what infringements, you should be able to call them out as you see them.
Oh, totally. But it's... If you got these sort of people in the better position, why wouldn't you then give them... It's not like the officiating umpire who's 100 metres away determining this is a free. This is a guy who is actually closest to it at that time. So why not give him that power? I'm fucking... I really sick of this. You said you listened to Dane Swan's podcast, and he was talking about training loads.
Didn't I bring this up last week?
No, we only spoke about it.
No, it was... right. But he was talking about...
Because I remember I mentioned to you, jot this down so we can talk about it.
Oh, right. So he was talking about that the players don't actually invest in the training load component of stuff. He goes, it's generally some sports scientist guy that sits there in front of a computer.
Oh, you did mention that, but you sort of mentioned like because you listened to one that Tony Shaw and I think Nick Maxwell were on, and that was just last week, and they were talking something about like how the training loads thing actually does impact performance or something. I can't remember what it was. You just...
Oh no, Shaw he was saying, and Swanee sort of agreed too, that you've pretty much now got 3 years of evidence if Collingwood's doing that it's not working. You should be winning every game and running. Yeah, sure, his belief was you should be winning every game you can and taking that winning form into the finals. We seem to be happy to drop these blocks of games for some greater long-term benefit that I don't know how you actually measure it. Because at the moment we're all over the place. You've broken with the team structure. Players that are healthier are managed out for reasons. It's been a bit of a mishmash going in. You haven't had a settled side running in. I think that's exactly the points that they were making. It was more about, because we've been talking about it, that it's nice to get validation from people who know what they're talking about.
Yeah, like John Ralph.
No, I don't like him.
You're surprised with John Ralph. He's mentioned about 19
constantly
players that were leaving Collingwood. So there's a bit of a pile on John Ralph the other week.
Yeah, why would that be, you reckon?
Yeah.
But he's never wrong though, John. Did you notice that?
is a buffoon.
So the fucking thing is with the media is you can make any shit up. You've got no fucking source of truth that you need to parade around in front of anyone. It's just someone said is validation enough. And you can make up any stuff. And I think, the fact is that they have to report on things 24/7. They do make a lot of stuff up. Whether it's hearsay or they just read it on the bulletin board or something like that, someone's opinion, I'll just run with that because I don't need to name my sources.
Well, it's cool that Ross Lyon actually called it out. So he was on Footy Classified. He was talking about that story that broke that, Cal Wilkie was disgruntled because they were going to pay whoever the fuck, DeConey or whoever the fuck it was, lots of money, or that illegally, I think. And he just said that, when that story broke, Wilkie called him up and just, there's absolutely no truth to this story. I've not spoken to anyone. I haven't said anything.
It's like the one that they all ran with McCreery was spotted in Port Adelaide doing a tour of their facilities.
Yep.
McCreery didn't leave the fucking state for the whole weekend.
Yeah. So I said it for a while. AFL media needs to be policed, but they're not going to do it because you have these people who are on social media like John Ralph throwing out fucking outrageous claims. I mean, he talked about Hill. Well, if he needs a change, he might go to Carlton. It's that really makes no sense. I can understand go back to WA, but not to Carlton. He talked about Myercheck leaving, or Cameron leaving, and then you resign. It's just the amount of bullshit. You can just say absolutely anything.
Well, and that's the thing. Right? You don't need to prove it. You don't need to show who your sources are. You can say it and say, well, that's what I was told.
Yeah. Jan Lehman, she says, come on, mate. I'm assuming it's a she.
Jan, because Jan can be a male's name.
Yeah, Jan Michael Vincent.
We shouldn't impose our beliefs on what Jan identifies as.
Yep, you're right. Come on, mate, it's a head clash. There's no malicious intent there. You went to tackle and accidentally struck heads. Don't let your bias turn you into a fool. Well, it's a little bit late for that. But you do know that the tribunal suspends players who don't have malicious intent. I mean, look at what happened with Steve May. And no one said the head clash was intentional. We're talking about the fucking clash of bodies was intentional. Pocket pies. On the money, boys. Mindset is absolutely the problem. Qualified and players are now not impacting contests like we were early in the season. Maybe for fear of getting injured. As for Cox, we need to give him another run. I still remember that opening ruck contest with Gawn in the 2023 first final. Set the tone for the rest of the match. I disagree. It set the tone for the rest of the final series. Totally agree. I said a few years, of all the guys who've had a good ruck outside of Darcy Moore, Cox was the best prospect, and we actually just tried to play him as a forward. Paul Stevens, 7949. I'm now convinced Collingwood are going for a new season plan. Fly at the start of the season, set it out to the players. Guys, we are gunning for top spot on the ladder. As soon as we have got there to mess with everyone, let's go after West Coast #1 pick. Bernard Parsons, I agree, Sly. Newcomb had malicious intent. Take that, Jan. I think you guys are brilliant, but that might be because I agree with you so much. Well, somebody has to. Collingwood Royals.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that like chocolate rolls?
No, I was thinking about the Royal. We have qualified and now have 114,000 members. What's your priority, Fly? I'd fucking like to know that myself. Excellent takedown of Jared Wade. Maniac approach to play management and its consequences. Digsby 1407. Elliott going to be 33 in the week, and a bit of his last month is what we get moving forward. So that's an interesting question. Myercheck and Elliott have really slowed down. I think they're two of the ones that aren't re-signed yet. Although I think part of that's about the forward setup.
Yeah, look, and the thing is with Mio's been nothing but one of the great Collingwood warriors. There's that adage though about the big men that don't slow down; they just stop. And maybe he's just done. Look, you obviously play him out for the rest of the year, but I wouldn't be surprised if they say no to another extension. Elliott, look, if somebody else offers him a hell of a lot more money to play out his couple of years, I wouldn't begrudge him leaving either.
Well, because Houston's been such a flop, should we swap Elliott to the Suns for John Noble?
Well, apparently, I read on EBW that's the reason we really miss him now. That's the reason why we're struggling.
Oh,
because we need someone fast to turn it over.
Did they watch the 2023 season when he was ousted by Markov?
But we miss him.
Magical thinking. Matt Catania, 4984.
Was that the guy who married Olivia Newton-John?
That was Matt Latanzi.
Oh.
What is going on regarding Bobby Hill? Signs a contract and now he's the shadow of the player who won Norm Smith. Also, can the Collingwood Football Club actually stock the Nike sideline puffer jacket? It is actually one of the better pieces of merchandise.
Finally, someone asked the big question.
They offer. I agree with this though. It's
The puffer jacket.
no, I mean in terms of like I've always said like with AFL merchandise, it's functional. It's not fashionable. Where do you see someone just wearing a football jumper in day-to-day life? But you go to American sports like the baseball jerseys and the fucking American football jerseys and the ice hockey jerseys. People wear that just in everyday life because it looks cool. And I actually, like I've always thought, the AFL merchandise, one club should actually gear it more towards stuff that you can just wear on a day-to-day basis. That puffer jacket is actually cool.
Do you know what I want to see? I want to see the puffy pirate shirt in a Collingwood shirt.
Matt,
I don't want to be a pirate.
Man, I'm pretty sure it is stock though because Doska bought one.
Did he?
Yeah.
Maybe you could put him in touch with Doska. Maybe they could become firm and fun friends.
Yeah. With big balls. It is actually one of the better pieces of merchandise they offer, but they never have any available for the average supporter. They do know it's winter, right? It's beyond the joke. It is Collingwood.
What's beyond the joke? Hill or the puffer jacket?
I don't know.
What if we put Hill in a puffer jacket? Would that sort everything out?
Probably Disney. Kieran Kelly, 959. Surely Maynard becomes captain next year. That's a really interesting call. What do you think of Darcy Moore?
I mean, leadership isn't... Well, a lot of it, I think, of the football field is it's got to be representative action. And I think part of it is also to what you talk about, motivate. Maxwell wasn't the world's greatest player, but I reckon he was a really fucking good captain. And I think when Darcy speaks, he's very, very intelligent. And I think that's a mark of a good leader. But at the moment, when do you mark your captain down because the form is off? And do you take the captaincy away because form is reduced? I mean, Richie Vandenberg was captain of Hawthorn, which goes to show that any fucking person can do it.
Yeah, but I think you look at Vandenberg, it's at a time they really didn't have a lot of options, and they've probably gone for someone working.
Yeah, they just put their names in the hat.
Probably. But I mean, the same with Maxwell. So Buckley was captain until 06. Until 07, until he finished up. And in 08, they gave it to Scott Burns, who was sort of a natural choice. And then after that, it was like, well, who would become the captain? And I remember at the time when they chose Maxwell, most people were just going, Maxwell, really? But you hear him speak and all that, he's a great leader, and his final performances, he just elevated to another level. But the good thing with Maxwell is you could see, I don't know if Moore does this, but like I always think part of a captain's role is that on-field stuff, like, encouraging players or, ripping into them when you need to and say, well, hang on, you come around here or whatever. I don't know if Moore does that enough. You definitely saw sort of Maxwell directing traffic when he was down there.
He certainly braided the back line a fair bit.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I mean, if you take it off Moore, I mean, I'm really curious about what sort of footballer Moore sees himself as. Is he someone who's going to play, if he can, until 35? Or is he someone who's just like Joe Dana, I think I've done enough. I think I can just leave now.
No, I think he's just going to move into the Amazon rainforest and discover a cure for cancer that just gets wiped out by man.
Oh, good. Someone has to. What a movie that was.
Yeah, it was a good movie, actually. I really enjoyed that. Way back in the when.
I found a cure.
A plague of the 20th century. Collingwood.
And now I've lost it.
Do you have the beast in its sights?
Ash in prison. More than half the team have a form slump. Can't defend the ball, can't move the ball. Pressure non-existence at the time. Don't tell the players, listen or read John Ralph. Agree with Sly. See, people agree with me. No one agrees with you.
You've had a couple of hits this week.
Who is on big money? Barva, Dacos, Boys, JDG, and maybe more.
I think you are, aren't you?
Lipinski. And what the fuck is happening with Bobby Hill? That seems to be a really good big question. We should probably contact Leonard Nimoy and see if they can do an In Search Of episode.
Or ride a monorail.
Yeah.
My work here is done.
The cosmic ballet continues.
But you didn't do anything, didn't I?
Didn't I? The Third Eye Wizard. I notice you're throwing a lot of Curb and Seinfeld references in. Nice. Larry David for president of Collingwood. He would fix it. Totally agree. Larry David would fix it. No bow would be better than that bow.
We could bring Mocha Joe in to coach the side.
What's your favourite Curb episode?
All of them.
Really?
Yeah, I don't mind Porno Girl. That was a good episode.
You know which one's one of my favourites? When he's dating the single mother and she has the really rude teenage son, and she defends him by saying he's on the spectrum, and he's really rude to Larry, but later on Larry's talking to Jeff. He goes, I don't think he's on the spectrum. I think he's just an arsehole. And then Jeff goes, "You could be on the spectrum."
What a show.
And Larry's like, "I could be on the spectrum." I think that sums us up too.
I was on a ZX Spectrum once.
What a computer. Sean Milson, 557. Been looking forward to this podcast. What the fuck is going on with us? But go Pies. Timothy O'Kane, one of your friends, isn't it?
Oh, it's your friend.
Oliway is up for the Pies. Stephen John, 1162. Worried for more, has he lost the passion to play and lead from the front? We probably should have had the more conversation now.
All these guys are having it for us.
Appear is confident in his shot, but what would I know? Well, it's a good observation. T-Vog, you guys are too negative, too reactive. Apparently so are the people in the comments, T-Vog.
But he reacted to our comment.
Yeah. He's probably got one of those platforms where he reacts.
You know, irony can be pretty ironic sometimes.
Especially when you're acting. Where that song, Chain Reaction, was that?
Get in the middle of it was Donna Summer.
Donna Summer.
Mm. Yeah. And Winter as well.
What do you... So... Oh, fuck. I mean, we'll beat Melbourne. And if we don't, then yeah, that'd be funny.
Oh, say, can you see?
It'd be like that scene in the China Syndrome where Michael Douglas is secretly filming the meltdown about to occur. What do you do? What do you stand? Because I actually am really, really frustrated and pissed off with not the fact that we've had a form stop in that, because that happens. Teams have slumps. What I'm really frustrated with is the obstinance of people running around going, "No, all's fine. It's all good. We're back. It'll work." Don't pick on Houston. He's been great this year. Don't pick on McStay. He's been great this year. This total lack of accountability that occurs at Collingwood, because when you're at Collingwood, we're all big one big happy family. So that's what really frustrates me, is you need accountability in any walk of life to improve. And if you're just telling people, "Hey, you're great for existing," because Houston hasn't been good. Like, it's not just us saying it now. The media's pointing it out. A lot of people are pointing out McStay hasn't been good for about a month or so. And like I said, I understand that role's going to be really hard, the ruck forward role. I mean, it killed Chris Dawes' career at Collingwood. Lee Brown was never like a really big possession getter or anything, so it was obviously a really difficult role. And I think you're seeing like Mason Cox wasn't always a dynamic forward when you had to do the rucking as well. Where do we go from this? What are your feelings?
We just go and win the flag. It has to be that simple. Because I think the harsh reality, the opposite side of everything is, and even if we somehow manage to pull another flag out of our ass, turn this around and come at the finals and come at me, bro, and we win every game, the side's done. It's got to have to go through some sort of mini rebuild. I think falling over in the finals after the 3/4 of the year that we had is just going to really accelerate that. I think you've really got to look at some of the aging guys, and they just don't play as many games. You've got to start cultivating the talent that's in the VFL, because there is talent there. They just don't get to get their heads in all that often. And if they do get their heads in, they don't get any consistent runs at it. I think they were very patient with Ed Allen, and I think Ed Allen's still probably top of the tree for future potential. But the forward line is a real worry. We've got that Hayes and West and a couple of prospects. Harrison, he's now in the third year of his ACL recovery. He's probably due to come back next year. Yep. He's an unknown. There's options there, but I think Fly just really has this. His go-to card is to look at the seniors on the list and go with experience and role playing ability. And I think it's served you well and all that sort of thing. But I think it's time to see what else we have on offer.
Yeah, actually, going back to winning the flag in 23. He moved on Adams and he moved Ginnivan. The Ginnivan one, even then I thought it was a mistake. You've pumped all these games into this young kid. I know he's a bit of a...
loose cannon.
Yeah. But a lot...
You can't say fuckwit.
Yeah, I was trying to find the right word. But, I understand that, a lot of these... I shouldn't say, but some of these players are pretty immature early and then they're mature later on. And he had a year to run on his contract, so I didn't actually like that you're giving him out. The Adams one I understand to some extent, but I still would have probably said maybe hold on to him. But then I would have forced a couple of others out. Like Huskin Elliott would have been one I probably would have forced out at that point. I think since 23 they should have been forcing out 2 players. even if it was a year early for some of them, because I'm really concerned that you have this core of players which comprises Howe, Pendlebury, Sidebottom, Crisp, Mitchell's obviously in there, and there's a couple I'm missing, and if they just all go at once, and the thing is, at that age, they can just all go at once.
Yep.
Their form could just fucking go, totally. And instead of, what Fly should have had to do was, he should have been forced to actually bring a couple young kids in regularly. Maybe we didn't have them in there. Finn McRae was sort of given a few chances. But it's a real concern for me that you have this block in the team, and you are going to lose them over 1-2 years, and you don't really have anyone to come up other than Ed Allen and potentially Ned Long. Now, I like Ned Long, but he's still just going to be a workman, a workhorse. We do need some class in that midfield. It's really just Nick and that's it. So I really think that the way they've structured this list is a really big concern, because it can hit a wall when it's just like, hey, we've got like 6 players to replace and we have not blooded anyone to do it. You go back to 06 to 10, where you had the guys like Buckley, Burns, Lucuria, Anthony Rocker, Clement, Wakeland, and eventually Presti, and there's going to be a couple of others I've forgotten there. They were going out, but Malthouse is actually staggering the introduction of players. So by 09-10, a lot of these guys already had tastes or played like 20 to 40 games of senior football. McRae has not done that at all. I was really surprised to go back to 2006 to 2010, how we actually rebuilt on the run. And part of that also is introducing really talented young players like Pendlebury, Thomas. Thomas's legacy is tarnished because his last few years were finished at Carlton, but after his ankle, he really came back down to the pack. Yeah. But then you brought in Sidebottom and Beams, Reed. So you actually were bringing in some players of genuine talent. And that's the biggest concern now. There's so much speculation on... Or the players that we have coming in, they're really speculative types.
It's not like we haven't banged on about it for years, but just the burning of the first round picks is, it sort of feels like it's all coming to a bit of a head.
Well, I said people. Sorry, Anna.
No, I say, well, you got a flag out of it, so you can't be super hypercritical. Obviously that component of it worked, but you're sort of now running bare. We've opined about it most weeks about, look, you want to get some of these underperformers out of the side, but who's knocking on the door to come in? It's a bit of a concern because, like I said, if someone goes on a long-term injury list or whatever, and it's one of our crucial role players, it just doesn't seem anyone that's coming into that can hit the ground running and fill it on a long-term basis.
I'm sure they were looking for that, but the inability to replace Murphy, even speculatively, they obviously brought in Frampton, Murphy was still there, and then they were pursuing Keane to try and bring him back, and they couldn't. But, I've said it before, going for Schultz and Houston, who weren't desperate needs in that side, instead of prioritising. And, I know people will scoff at this, but I actually think there's a lot of this which is a flow-on still from the succession plan, because they had a really young squad back in 2010, and then 2 years later they were dismantling it, and then they were going to the draft, and they picked up guys like, Scharenberg, Freeman, Ramsey, Broomhead, Kennedy, then even Grundy, and except for Grundy, they were all busts. And then they had to pay big to get players like Treloar, he was 2 pick 7s, to bring him in. And then if you look at their drafting, Jaden Stevenson pick 6, and then the cap blew up, and you're losing Aish, Stevenson, Phillips, who's the other one? Treloar. And then a season later or 2 seasons later, you're losing Grundy. It's like some of these guys should still be the core of that side, and they're not. You've lost all this talent. Or you've outed talent earlier, hoping that the replacements are going to come on, and they haven't. Because you look at someone like Scharenberg. Let's say he became a good defender, he'd still be in that side today. So a lot of it is just this real weird age profile to the list that it's so top heavy in terms of the age, and there's not a lot of sort of young 20-somethings coming in. Who is it, like Nick, and that's it. So, and Ned Long to some extent. So,
we've got Jack Ziblani coming next year, so that'll be good.
Yeah, and that's a concern too. I understand he's played really well in defence this year, but he doesn't have a great injury profile.
No, his durability is questionable.
I will qualify that by saying bloody Voss was playing him as a ruck at times too, so that wouldn't have helped. But yeah, I mean, when you're looking for sort of players like that, and it feels, my concern is like, you go back many, many years ago, I always thought the teams who were around mid-table, who decided we're only this or that player away from genuine contention, they're the ones who always ended up just fucking imploding, because they were deluding themselves with how close they were. And then they were bringing in sort of mature age talent, and when it didn't quite work out the way they expected, inevitably they had this old list with no youth coming through, and they just dropped to the bottom. Meanwhile, the guys who actually went to the bottom, like Hawthorn and Richmond and Geelong, they were the ones who built from the ground up and then just addressed what deficiencies they had when they got to a certain level of maturity. So my concern is, like, we're just going to be bringing in Silvani, we'll bring in whoever else it is, and then at some point it's just all going to go bust. And then it'll be like, oh, well, where do we go now? And Tasmania's in the league. And you have compromised your ass for 2 to 3 years. So it's like, and the thing is, the AFL won't leave it at 19 clubs. So there'll be another one somewhere along the line.
Yeah, it's inevitable. You can't have an odd number, rather, not uneven. Or something, really. Yeah, no, there's going to need to be a 20th side come in, and the talent pool's already diluted. It's
from Wellington. Yeah, so I think, go back to 206, like where I was really concerned. The one thing I didn't really factor in was Collingwood had like picks 2 and 5 and 8 and 10, which they ended up getting when they swapped Tarrant. And then they had 11, and so they had a good body of early picks, which they pretty much hit on all of them except Chris Egan. You don't have those picks now, and what will happen, no doubt, is we'll trade 2 years into the future now to address the needs that we have.
Well, yeah, you can do that now, can't you, as of next year? Yeah, fuck, and I mean, yeah. Anyway, I'm sure they know what they're doing.
Should have like a Get Smart reference.
Missed it by that much.
No, it's just, I just think it'll be interesting times. Maybe we're reacting too much, but yeah, it is a concern. Any final thoughts?
No. It sums it up, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's all a very flat episode, and it's just that loss. You talked about how angry you were last night. I was really angry. Friend Johnny texted this morning, just goes, "Fuck, just feel so disappointed." Just letting that one slip, and it really was. It was a watermark game, which we didn't.
No, I mean, you can spin positive into it, but I think you're just trying to convince yourself that things are okay. And look, and they may be, who knows, but the next few weeks will be pretty much the telling ones, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it from us. Subscribe, like, leave comments, and we'll be back sometime next week.
In the future, we will all spend our lives
later.
Oh, well, that's a good sign. We'll see what I can do. Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Better than Collingwood.
That was gold. That was really worth it, wasn't it?
I'll keep those sons of bitches happy.